just trying to figure out why my ad campaign isn't working yet. And I've been running 3 campaigns so far, learning a lot, but right now all I got to show is learnings. I don't really have the ROI or ROAS that I need to get. So I was thinking about it this morning. This first quarter is about learning it, and then Q2, I'm gonna be able to leverage those learnings hopefully into some real money here. One idea I am kind of bummed that hasn't worked yet was I took the Gary Vee playbook, I took our top performing creative, the Nebraska video, I wrote some really good copy with that, got a good offer, got good copy, got a great video, and I'm pumping that in Century City right now. I haven't gotten any results yet. I haven't gotten any leads, which is strange. So Century City could be cursed. What I'm probably gonna do now is I'm gonna take some of our top performing creative and I'm gonna replicate it in Guilford, because we're running a test campaign to see how many leads we can generate out by where Tim lives, to see if that's potentially gonna be a nice location area for us. But it's a smaller market and that creative is fatigued, which is the first time I've heard Meta tell me that. It's like, hey, you're hitting the audience too much with the same ad. You need new creative to be able to keep getting leads here. Or Oceanside in Dallas, I didn't have that same problem. But anyways, we might find that this Nebraska creative in Guilford ends up actually working, or it actually works in the South Bay or Santa Monica. So there's so many different variables that I have to remember when we're testing these things, because it could be everything correct, but the market could be off or the timing could be off. Now, I'm not gonna use that as an excuse. Like, my default is not to operate from that standpoint, because then you could just throw your hands up and go, oh, there's nothing we could do. It's not our problem or fault, but that's not gonna get you anywhere, right? The guys that run the Cut 30 course are all starting their YouTube channel, and they're all like Instagram, TikTok, short form stuff. And you can see why they're successful in terms of building things out, because they frame things that add value to the audience. So Alex Garcia is making a YouTube that says the top content that founders should make to tell their stories. And it's long form, just like high value going into that. And so when I think about my content, and it's more of these vlogs off the top of my head, just sitting here having a conversation and talking through things, as a creator, from a sustainability standpoint and an enjoyment standpoint, like, I really like this because it doesn't feel like work. I talk about this a lot, but scripting and all that just feels like a lot of work, and it just takes a bunch of extra time, where this is more documenting, not creating, right? Document what you do. Don't think you have to create stuff. But the flip side of that, the reality is like, when you're documenting stuff, you're not growing. Like, at least in my world, in my experience, when I'm going through and documenting all these things, you look at my channel and it's not getting views. That being said, I've scripted some stuff that hasn't gotten views either. So I think the reality of it is like, it's just tough to do these things, and you just got to stay in the game. But listening to Jack Conte on Colin and Samir talking about doing stuff that you like, doing stuff that you're proud of, when you look back after 4 years, are you proud of the catalog that you built? And using that as a metric to sustain your content, because if you're enjoying it, that stuff's just gonna flow through to the audience. And we got like enough overproduced shit, you know what I mean? Like, there's enough of that stuff out there with the whiz bang edits, and watching a bunch of Dan Martell stuff right now, and his content's amazing, but he's way on the edge of like whiz bang, highly produced sort of things. It's like, I really like that, but I guess that's what happened when you're paying a professional team to help make your content. And if I'm that video editor, I'm thinking like, dude, I gotta provide some value here, and I gotta show that this is like the best content ever, because it's my resume as the videographer and the editor. On the flip side, you've got like Hormozi's long form stuff, which I just got served a video with him with all the top performers on School, and the co-founder of School, which, by the way, I haven't come across any of his content yet. The co-founder of School, Australian dude, awesome, super sharp guy. But they just throw up a camera and they record 3 hours of long form stuff of these guys just like workshopping best practices and things like that. They put it up there. I watch that and it's just like, there is no editing or anything like that. Maybe there's just like camera 1, camera 2. That's pretty much it, with some nice audio. But like, the content is all in the learning. And so somebody, out there watching this right now, if you do watch this, by the way, just drop me a comment when you actually get to this part. It's like, you're getting value from like learning in the trenches, and it's in a format that's much more conversational. The reason why podcasts hit so well and it's so enjoyable is you can read a book and it's very distilled and linear. You get into a podcast and it's like much more conversational, and you need both. It's not like just having one over the other, right? But when you can mesh the both of like having a book and the linear distilled down, having the podcast is more conversational and you can just listen to it, like that's how the brain learns. And you have a bunch of those different formats, and now you're starting to get like a robust ecosystem of how you learn something. So the thing I've been thinking on and kind of meditating on is making a uniform. And I've got version 1 of it on right now, where I've got my reigning champ top, these reigning champ bottoms, the coaches series. And so I can come in and train, but it also looks really nice. Like you can wear it with like everyday clothes, and it's functional but stylish at the same time. And what I want to do is I'm going to make a black suit, a navy suit, and this charcoal suit, and kind of like throw back to old school Mad Men era. And I'm gonna have suits for different days with like undershirts that I can kind of change up. But for like a quarter, I just want to test this setup and just like how it looks and feels. Now you might watch this like, it's kind of weird. Why are you doing that, dude? And I think there's something to be said for less but better. There's less decisions to make, you know, albeit you give up some of the kind of the creative choice on this and that. But it's like, you know, getting home, playing with my daughter, getting down and bending down, and like I rip pants, right? If you got big legs and a big ass from squatting all the time, you know what I mean. When you're in clothes like this, you don't have that, and it's not, you sit down and you're not uncomfortable because your pants aren't like hugging on your legs, right? So there's that aspect of it, but it's also kind of like, you could just wear gym clothes all the time, but I want to have like this suit because you put it on, it's a reflection of how you're feeling on the inside, reflected on the outside. It's also like looks elevated, but it's an easy way to do it. It's why men's suits haven't changed since the beginning of time. Like it's all the same like look and feel, because on men that just looks really good. Cool overlap of Mad Men and gym owner, which is basically me. I've run 3 advertising campaigns, one for South Bay, one for Century City, one for Guilford, Connecticut in the last 4 weeks. Guilford is just a lead generation ad campaign. We're running a free 1-week pass to secure leads to see if Guilford, where Tim lives, would be a viable location from a new business development standpoint. I'm running for the South Bay a personal training advertisement campaign framed as a D1 starter pack with the customer avatar going after the parent of a competitive athlete that wants to give their kid the best chance of getting a D1 scholarship. And then in Century City, we're running the standard 6-week program with fitness, nutrition, and accountability for like regular adult group, selling it at $600, fulfilling it over 6 weeks. The down arrow is from a ROAS standpoint and a return on investment. Like I don't have anything to speak for. It's pretty dismal. We've got 6% of our leads that we've generated, 6 have booked a call. Compare that to our other advertising campaign with the agency. We're looking at 20% of leads generated in a month booked a call. And so on the internal campaign that I've been running myself, we're running an information. So like click this link to download this free guide, and it's a D1 strength conditioning coach's guide to like getting a D1 scholarship. It's got nutrition, it's got a program, it's got like all these tips. So it's like a free high value content offer. And we saw that our cost per lead went down when we switched from book a consultation to get this high value content offer. But those leads that are downloading the guide are not going into booking consultations, even though we have calls to action through the lead nurture campaign and calls to action within the guide itself. So I read that as people are downloading the guide because they see that high value, but they're interested in the guide. They're not interested in anything else, which you can also see through our email nurture campaign. We've got a 7-day email nurture sequence. The first email that has the guide has a 50% open rate and like a 60% click. So 50% of the people that are opening it, 6 out of 10 people are clicking the link to get the guide, which is really high. If you look at all the other emails, I mean, it's dismal. It's like a 14% open. It's like a 2% open with 0 clicks on all the other ones. So all those things make me feel like we got to go back to the drawing board to figure this thing out, where it's probably like we promote the offer and we make it such a good offer that they would feel dumb saying no to, and it's like straight Dan Kennedy style. And we optimize for the result that we want, which is booking a consultation and getting a close. And then it's the same thing in Century City, where we had a consultation, like click here to get the consultation, pretty low amount. We added the guide. We saw a lot more people download the guide, but they're not booking the phone calls. these are all learnings that are gonna manifest in really successful campaigns, but it's gonna be like 3 months, 6 months from now as I'm continuing to try to figure this out. And I gotta be accountable to the money that we're spending into my business partners, where it's like, I don't wanna just do this in silence, right? Because if I get the, hey, why are we spending all this money? Show me the results here. And I don't have anything to show, it's like, why are we doing that? And I'm gonna miss out on the learnings, because my heart knows that that's the right thing to do on paid advertising. We just haven't been able to figure it out yet. It really comes down to extending out the time horizon for longer. So I was talking to an Uber driver the other day, and he's like, he wants to lose all this weight in 3 months. And I'm telling him, what's your program? He's like, oh, I just go in and I make it up on my own. Okay. Do you know, oh, I don't know how to use the barbell, so I just use the machines, and I just, do it on my own. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, get a program, extend your timeline horizon, and like start small and ramp up into it, and think in like 6 months instead of 3 months. It's the same thing with advertising right now. Okay, like I've read all these books, I put some stuff into action, I've iterated, we've tried, we've tested, we've built out things, but it's a complex ecosystem. Lead nurture stuff, writing ad stuff, making creative, consultations, all of those things connecting together. Just because you know what to do, figuring out how to do it, and then using the market's feedback to test and iterate and figure those things out, like, hey, you're not gonna figure that out on your first campaign probably. So it's that same thing, and I guess the lesson for you, dear listener or watcher, is when we extend that timeline horizon out, the scope of the project and getting results start to feel more manageable. Now, when you're under pressure of like $1 in has to equal $1 out, like I get that, because the cash can run out of the bank, and you might not have the ability to keep that thing going, which is where a lot of small business owners are. Like, dude, I can't put $1 in and wait 6 months to get $2 back or $1 back. I need to be able to recoup my ad costs quickly. So I get that. I get that from a performance marketing standpoint. But from the longevity aspect of the business, if I keep doing what I'm doing right now and testing and iterating and learning, 6 months from now, I'm gonna look back, it's gonna be like, oh, I wouldn't have gotten here without those learnings. Same thing 6 months after that. And then 2 years when I look back at where we were at trying to figure this thing out right now, I'm probably gonna be, hopefully, in a far more profitable place because I spent all that time learning and acquiring the skill sets to allow me to be and run profitable advertising campaigns. All right, I had to turn the deep house focus music on for this set. We got 100-pound med ball, 5-pound other med ball. We got 10 sets of 5, heavy med ball, full clean, superset with rotational chops, 5 each, 10 sets for the homies. This is gonna be a doozy.